I come from a lineage of very good musicians. Fortunately, music is very much a part of our family. My grandmother on my mother's side was a pianist and church organist, as was my mother. And my mother also ran community choirs, school choirs. My older brother was a professional musician for 25 years as well, and he turned me on to some great recordings and was very influential in the music I was exposed to in my teenage years. I play a lot of the reed instruments, and I think my grandfather on my father's side may be influential in that. He was a clarinet player in the First World War in the military and performed in Belgium and France. When he returned to Sydney in the 1920s, he played clarinet in the silent movie houses of the day before the talkies came in, would improvise musical scores with the other musicians to create the atmospheres of those films. And I think that somehow is maybe channeled through our family and onto my brother and myself. My mother was very passionate about music, and she played piano at home a lot. And my earliest musical memories were having family sing-alongs around the piano to many of the classic songs from the Great American Songbook, the George Gershwin, Cole Porter, Irving Berlin catalogue, and songs from Disney musicals and other musicals as well. And I think being exposed to those composers and those songs at an early age certainly set the path to open up my interest into jazz, insofar as the jazz standard repertoire certainly draws on a large part of the Great American Songbook. And I think my passion for jazz certainly has stemmed from those early influences of sing-alongs around the piano with my mum and dad and my brother. As a young teenager, I was very fortunate to go to a music camp, and the artist in residence was the wonderful James Morrison, Australian jazz legend, and another guest of the camp was his mentor, Don Burrows. And I heard both these gentlemen play a vast array of instruments, and that was very inspiring to see the possibilities that you could do on more than one instrument. Flash forward some years after that, I was very fortunate to be studying with Don Burrows, and then later touring and recording with James Morrison, which I still do to this day. And being able to hear them at such a young age certainly set the path for that, and wanting to be a multi-instrumentalist. At last count, I think I'm covering 15 instruments in what I do in my career. So I certainly thank James Morrison and Don Burrows for that early influence and inspiration. To date, I've performed in about 60 professional musical theatre productions. One that stands out amongst all those, for a variety of reasons, is 42nd Street in Moscow in Russia, the very first English-speaking musical ever to be performed there. It was a very challenging time. A sister theatre just not too far from where we were performing was invaded by Chechen rebel separatists. They took the audience, cast, the orchestra all hostage for several days. Sadly, there was a lot of death, and some of the Russian musicians who I was performing with had friends who were part of that attack who died. It was incredibly challenging. We couldn't really speak English, Russian together. The communication problem was very tough. But it was the music we were playing, the collaboration, the great songs, the orchestrations, that really gave us strength and comfort through an incredibly challenging time. Music brings people together. It's a very unifying art form, whether it be within your family, smaller communities, or globally. And in a time like we're going through now, global pandemic, music is certainly bringing people together and connecting through music, unifying through music. That to me is what makes me passionate about being a musician.